You've heard us talk about them. They're in, and they're on the website.
Absolutely. Our brand new America's Diesel podcast, branded bills, badass, flex fit, performance material, sweat stain resistant. It literally feels like it cools your head.
I don't know how that's
amazing.
possible, but somehow it is. Yeah, you can rock it. You know, I'm more of a flat bill kind of guy. You can do that. You can curve it. For all you taco holder guys, you can even throw that in there.
Yeah.
And then snap back with a little bit of the flex fit.
Yeah.
Big head approved, small head approved.
And it's extremely comfortable. I almost guarantee, I say almost guarantee. No, I guarantee this is the most comfortable hat you will ever wear. And the logo, rubber. Awesome.
Yeah.
Came out great.
Super detailed rubber on there, so it's never going to fade on you. If you want to get one of these in your hands, they are $50, shipped to the lower 48, plus tax, if applicable in your state. Just go on the dieselpowerproducts.com, search hat, look for the fantastic Jam and Eagle logo, pick yourself up some before they're out of stock.
Yeah.
You're listening to America's Diesel Podcast. Dang, Tyler, what a weekend.
Yeah, was it? I had a nice relaxing weekend. I actually kind of wish I was at the sled pulls though with you guys.
We are gonna talk about the sled pulls a little bit because me and Corey went. Corey.
Oh yeah.
Was that your first sled pull event you've ever gone to?
First one, yeah. I got spoiled too.
Yeah. You took my pit pass.
Somebody had to use it, all right?
Yeah. No, it's totally cool. It's one of those things too. It's like it's hard to. God, I'm super echoey in my ear.
Really?
Both of them, yeah.
We'll keep going.
I'll keep going. But like some of these camping trips that we plan, like my wife plans them like 6 months in advance. I was like before any sort of sled pull dates and things are out, so it's kind of sucks. On the some of them we can cancel. This particular one was one of our favorite little secret spots. It was nice. It was relaxing.
Where was it? Can you say?
It was out Priest Lake.
Okay.
Yeah, dude, I made a. I might get myself in trouble here, but there's no evidence. But everybody's fishing out there, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna try to catch a fish. I didn't have a pole. I didn't have a line. I didn't have a hook. I didn't have bait. I had nothing. So I took a sapling, made my pole, nice little, it was a good, had some good flop to it. You know what I'm saying? And then I took some. I had this knife that is like kind of like a survival knife, and the handle of it's wrapped in paracord. And so I cut the ends of the paracord off, and I peeled the inner strings out of the paracord. So I have this
all together.
Yeah, and I tied. So I had a really nice long line.
Okay.
Have you seen the videos of guys making fish hooks out of the tabs of your beer?
Yeah.
So I tried that one. Didn't really it might work, but there's a couple of problems that I have with that fish hook. For one, the little eyelet, super sharp, probably cut your line. Secondly, little flimsy.
Right.
Like you get a banger on there, she ain't coming in. But what I took was, like the girls, and I'll have some too, but like mimosas, Yeah. And so the wire that's for the
cork.
top. Get this. So I took the wire and I made fishing hooks out of the wire that were actually like good little fishing hooks, and I had a little file and I filed them so they're super sharp and they're actually pretty strong. Then I took the cork and I made a bobber. So I had this line, cork, bobber, hook from a champagne bottle, and then I took some dog food and I put it. I didn't catch a fish. But
really?
Yeah, okay. Well, the first time I did it, I was like hand lining it and like trying to throw it out there, and I kind of like tied a rock around the string to get it like way out there. Well, I misjudged my throw and it went right out of my hands. And so I started running in the water and I just got freaking soaked. I'm trying to get my line back. I had to run back up to the trailer, grab my swimming shorts, and actually like basically swim out there to go get my line. And then I kind of just like tied that one off for like just kind of sit out there. And then I made a new one for my pole. But yeah, I didn't catch anything. But in theory, should have worked.
Could have.
Should have, could have.
The biggest problem I have with your story is how dare you say that I might have a mimosa. Mimosas are amazing. I don't care who you are. Mimosas are so good.
Did you know what we went and got to? Because like big at Priest is like the huckleberry thing, So the girls in the morning, because I had a freaking raging headache when I woke up because we partied pretty late. So they went to this little like gas station store and they got the huckleberry like syrup stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So we had huckleberry mimosas.
Nice.
Oh, dude. Nothing will get you higher and then fall harder than a mimosa.
Like, some of like the rowdiest, and believe it or not, like I'm talking like legitimately some of the rowdiest and like sloppiest drunk I've ever been is like bottomless mimosas.
Oh God.
You want to see an angry, sloppy Ben at like 24 by 11:30 a.m.
Yeah.
It's not at a football tailgate, I can tell you that. It's trying to walk home from Flames after bottomless mimosas from downtown San Jose.
Dude,
okay?
it's like if you start, let's say it's a mimosa's a breakfast drink. So he's like, let's say you start at like 8, dude, you're hammed by 9.
Easy.
Sleeping by 11.
Sleeping till dinner,
possibly
like through
cry.
dinner.
There might be a cry in between there, like you could just get like emotional. Like it's like the weirdest.
It is,
dude. It hits you hard.
Yeah,
hard.
Comes out of nowhere and just slaps you right in the. I'm not gonna say what it is, but yeah, it slaps hard.
This week's podcast episode is brought to you by Fuel Bomb Diesel Additive, an additive designed for diesel enthusiasts, made by diesel enthusiasts. Ben, take it away.
Hell yeah, dude. So this is our in-house Fuel Bomb fuel additive for your diesel truck. Our biggest thing here is making sure that you can pretty much always have diesel additive on you all the time. You've got a lot of other additives out on the market that they have anti-gel in there all the time. They have cetane in there all the time. They end up being big and bulky bottles. Our standard everyday diesel fuel additive is 1 ounce per 32 gallons, and that's its main job is to make sure that your fuel system stays lubricated and prevents the formation of algae. And it should also help you in colder climates too.
Should definitely help you in colder climates. Along with cleaning your fuel system and maintaining it, it'll also help you bump that cetane number up for a more efficient burn of your diesel fuel. And if cetane is just what you're after, there's the Fuel Bomb Hellfire, which is our straight 8+ cetane enhancer.
Yeah, and you guys asked, and we brought them back. We did go away from the bottles that didn't have the measuring little parts in there. We brought them back for you, so now you can measure out your 1 ounce per 32 gallons for the F-Bomb or 4 ounces per 32 gallons for the Hellfire.
Both these additives are available on our website, dieselpowerproducts.com. Now let's get back to that episode.
Thank you for tuning in. This is Ben and Tyler and Corey from America's Diesel Podcast talking about mimosas.
Mimosas.
I like all mimosas. Yeah, grapefruit.
Oh, dude.
Orange.
You know what my favorite one is? Pineapple.
Pineapple's great.
Dude.
Dragon fruit.
Sure.
Freaking guava. You throw it I want like 7/8 minimum champagne. A little floater or some sort of juice in there.
Yeah.
Happy guy.
And it is a manly drink, all right? It's not just for the women.
No.
We're popping bottles up in here.
Yeah. Popping bottles with chicks.
With chicks, yeah. I mean, come on.
Yeah. Everybody wins.
Everybody wins.
Except future you.
Yeah, future, yeah.
And when I mean future you, I mean like hour and 20 minute you.
Yeah, that quick. It's a fast rise and a hard fall.
Yeah. We appreciate you guys tuning in. You can find us on any normal podcast mediums. That's Google Play, SoundCloud, iTunes, Spotify by searching America's Diesel Podcast. You can also find us on the social medias. We do go live on our Instagram page every time we film, which is typically on Wednesdays. We are technically filming this on a Tuesday, and I did make an announcement that we do have a special live session later today. Mm-hmm. Me and Tyler go live right around 5 p.m. Pacific time, just about every Wednesday. If you want to have a beer with the boys, tell us about your weekend, tell us what you got going on this weekend. Just have a chat. You never know who's going to be in there. It's always a good time. I freaking love the live sessions. But also, if you do not follow our Instagram, please give it a follow. We are trying to pump those numbers up. It is ran by me. So any ads you're going to get, they're pretty much for me.
Yeah.
Which could be hilarious.
Yes. Yes.
Lastly, or not last, we got a couple more things. Tyler, reviews.
Oh yeah, reviews. By the way, I'm liking the the new ones that we're getting in because we're almost at 500. Mm-hmm. 499. Well, whatever we're at. Less one is like there's one 1-star review. Mm-hmm. The guy that called us Mama's Boys. That's the only one. Which is it wasn't even like a diss. It was like whatever. Anyways, keep them coming in. We're at this rate, we're going to bypass all the other diesel podcasts as far as 5-star reviews, which is awesome. Greatly appreciate it. Leave a review on any platform that you listen to this podcast on. Make sure to screenshot it, send it to podcast@dieselpowerproducts.com. Include a picture of your truck and an address so you can get a decal for your truck, your whatever you want to put it on, which is the same as our backdrop and our logos on our brand new badass hats.
Yes. Lastly, if you're buying parts for your diesel pickup and you need them fast, check out dieselpoprocks.com. We got stuff on there all day, every day. Look at that quick ship logo. If you need to verify it's in stock, it's got a quick ship logo by the part number. That means it's verified in stock. Let it rip. If you have questions on that part, talk to any of our knowledgeable sales technicians, or you can go online and do the chat feature on the website, email, whatever. They're on the phones 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific time. If you are listening to this podcast and you talk to one of them, or you place an order, make sure to note somewhere in the order or let your sales technician know that you are a podcast listener. You receive absolutely nothing. It's a great deal, I know, but that does help us with the numbers, at least in-house here, to make sure we can keep this podcast going. Also, I will say I do play favorites to podcast orders. If an issue comes about with an order and I happen to get my eyes on it and I see it's a podcast order, I'm not going to lie. I freaking play favorites. Okay, guys? Like, straight up, Corey knows. Yes, big time. So, I'm not saying you're going to get special attention, but you're going to get special attention.
Yeah, you might get something special in there. Who knows? Maybe,
All right. I think that's it for the intro. Oh, I have two announcements. One, Zach, congratulations. He just got married. I think it was last weekend or weekend before. He and I have messaged a whole bunch doing some 7-3 diagnostic stuff. He's dude in California. He got married. So congratulations, Zach. If you're listening to this, I did not tell you I was going to do this. I'm not going to say your last name, but congratulations on your marriage. I'm glad your wife, or your now wife, loves OBS trucks because it's a hard road to go down.
Yeah.
Lastly, one of my close friends and also a podcast listener, he's a 6'5" guy, so you know he's already a little bit retarded. But he's Asian, which balances out, so it makes him basically a normal human being because Asians are notoriously smart.
Maybe he knows something that we don't know about. Maybe he does. He's just like, I don't know. I got you guys.
But he just had a baby a week ago. They were working really hard to have this baby, and it's here. It's healthy. Everybody's happy. And I just want to give you a shout out, Nate. Congratulations on the new baby boy. Prepare to never have sleep. That's all I got to say. I know folks have more than 2 kids, and they're like, haha, 2 kids, that was easy. Okay, I got 2. He's got 2. Just, if you got 1 and you're thinking about 2, just remember it changes. Yeah. It's a lot. And it goes up and up from there. Anyways.
Good to know.
Yeah. So, let's get into the sled pulls first off. So, you guys may have seen on the Instagram page and or the Facebook page, we had some sled pulls at the fairgrounds, which is conveniently located directly next to our building. Like quite literally, me and Tyler's office is the
overlooks the entrance, so we got to see all the
the faculty entrance. So basically, all the people that are like vendors and stuff like that. But also means all the sled pull guys come by and we get to see their trucks. So if you follow us on Instagram, which is another reason too, I was every time one like pulled it, I tried to get my phone out fast enough to pull them, film them coming in. And the cool thing is, I didn't realize how many local sled pull guys I actually like know by name. Yeah, there wasn't like a lot there. I think there was only like 8 or 9 diesel trucks there. But I was like, wow, I do actually know who these people are. Like in my eyes, they're like local legends,
Yeah.
But TJ Burton, who pops into the live chat a lot, younger kid out here. No, he's not 12. He's actually 20. But in our eyes, sorry, TJ, you're always gonna be 12.
Yeah.
You're gonna be 12 until you have like kids, basically. Until you have your own kids, you're 12. He had a really good hook, and his dad did too. Burton's in the 3.0 class, or Burton Senior, Jason Burton. Lenny was out there, had a couple different trucks. Papa Smurf was out there, and a couple other guys too. But first, before we get into the trucks, so you guys have heard me and Tyler talk about sled pulls. I love sled pulls. They're probably my favorite thing. You and I have actually debated a little bit because I'm sled pulls, drag racing. You're drag racing, sled pulls. Close to each other, but still one above the other.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah. I don't know what it is for me. I find sled pulls way more satisfying.
Maybe I just need to go to more of them. I've been to quite a few of them, but yeah, I don't know. I've always liked the drag racing thing from like the classic car side of things and the stuff like that. So that's kind of just where my mind is with it.
Yeah. So luckily, and this is also a big thank you to TJ. TJ walked into my office at because we did a podcast previously about how we're going to try and sneak in.
Mm-hmm.
And looking back, hindsight 2020, we totally could have snuck in. It was
easily
super crazy. But it's always nice to have a pit pass just to make sure you can get anyways.
Yeah.
So, interesting fact, I convinced a whole bunch of people here to go, and like I even like bought tickets for people, and they paid me money for them and all that stuff. I didn't make money. You don't do that kind of thing when you're
right.
Like, hey, I got this row.
Scalping tickets on the
everybody
side.
wants more. Like, we can add in people there. If you haven't been, you should go. It's a great time. Yeah. So I got I think we had like 8 or 9 people go, and then that day at about 2 or 3 o'clock, TJ rolls into my office like, here, got your pit passes. I'm like, serious? He's like, yeah. You and Tyler. I was like, well, Tyler can't go. I was like, well, as long as someone just says they're Tyler, they'll be fine.
Yeah.
And he just gave me some wristbands. I was like, sick. I'm thinking in my head, like, well, I'll go to the seats and maybe go down to the pits and say what's up. I'll go to the pits beforehand, and then, once shit gets going, I'll go up to the seats. Didn't sit in my seat once. I called Sands and waved to him up there when I was down, because me and Corey ended up watching the whole thing from the infield, which is great. We're like in the dirt.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
It's freaking awesome.
Right?
Yeah. And Corey freaking spoiled now. Yeah. He's never going to be able to watch a sled pull other than like on the dirt next to it.
Right.
But it was a cool time. So Corey, give me like your rundown, how you feel, like, because it was your first time. You're obviously a diesel enthusiast. You're an off-road enthusiast. You have an off-road vehicle.
Yeah.
Of sled pulling.
Right.
But first time there, and you got to watch it on the infield. Tell me about it.
So for me, it's just like, you feel everything a lot more, like, because obviously I've watched them on YouTube and stuff like that, but it's like just being there, it's more energetic, and it, like, just hearing the motors going, seeing the dirt kick up, just it's so rad, dude.
And the thing for me is too is just seeing the people.
Right.
A lot of times, especially at like a homegrown event like this is, you're up in the stands and you're looking down and you're thinking, oh, these people are, oh my gosh, they must be like, it's just TJ.
Yeah.
TJ built a badass truck. I was gonna pull with it.
Yeah.
And he gets in, and he pulls it out, and he pulls, and then he parks it, and it gets out. I was like, dude, that was cool. He's like, yeah, I was trying this. And it's just like it's an everyday thing for them. Meanwhile, I'm over there like cold sweating the whole time. Like, this is so cool. Right.
Well, with sled pulling, the thing that I have to hand it to him is when you're sled pulling, you are literally putting your truck in the worst possible conditions. Mm-hmm. Like, you have a trailer that is continually getting heavier the further you go down the track.
Yeah.
You are basically have it just pegged. Yeah. Like, EGTs, whatever. Like, you're just pushing your truck to the, like, it's a good test for your parts to make sure everything is working how it should and is holding up to it, because if there's a weak point, you're going to find it.
Yeah.
I mean, at Moses Lake, we saw TJ blow his axles in a Dana 80, which is
was it axles or U joints? I can't remember.
It was his axles.
I'm
pretty sure it was.
I thought it was U joints. I can't remember that. That was a while back.
Yeah, it was a while back. It was something with the rear end he destroyed. But for like that type of axle, like that axle in a truck is usually the one. Is like that is noted to be one of the stronger axles. You could throw some power and some stress against that axle, and it's going to handle it. But yeah, you're just so I have to hand it to them. Like they're for especially the guys that go pass after pass after pass after pass after pass.
Yeah, like that's
a well built, well put together truck to be able to handle that.
Yeah,
consistently.
And the guys at this level, these aren't like factory sponsored people by any means.
No,
they are truly enthusiasts.
Yeah,
they're building their truck, Monday through Friday, breaking it Saturday, Sunday, building it again, towing it a couple 100 miles, go beat the shit out of it again, break it, and get out there. I mean, and a lot of times the purses on these things are not huge. You got
your truck costs you $100,000 and you walk out with like $1,000
if you're lucky.
if you're lucky,
that's but
you get a trophy.
Yeah, that's like a state fair.
Yeah,
maybe you might get that. Maybe not a county fair, not a local one. That's like state fair type shit.
Yeah.
But where was I going with that?
One of my coolest things that I liked seeing, and you like pointed out too, as like the night went on, like watching the fuel come in, or watching the exhaust and how it just like slowly dissipates, and you can see it like mixing in with like the turbo and everything, and just dissipating like that. That's rad.
Yeah.
Oh, the putting the truck in the worst possible situation. even more so as you start going up in class, because we are going to have Landy on here pretty soon. And we really need to have one of the Burtons on, if not both of them, and talk about actual sled pull classes. But from what I know, there's usually like a work stock class.
Yep.
There's like a street unlimited, if you will. And then when you get into, and those are usually dictated like a local rules. There's kind of baseline stuff, but usually local rules dictate what can do what. But then when you start getting into like a 2.5, a 2.6, a 3.0, or a 3.6 class, usually that's all going to determine by the inlet size of the compressor on the turbo.
Yep.
And when you start getting in,
and tires too, it comes down to tires.
Yeah, there's a lot more to that, but like usually like the big people think it was turbo. Okay.
Yeah.
But when you start getting into like these 3.6 trucks, you've got this truck that literally has to have a single turbocharger on there that's big enough to support, I don't know, 2,000 horsepower.
Yeah.
And you have to get this thing spooled from literally a dead stop.
Yeah.
And then basically as soon as it moves at all, the load is increasing on it.
Yeah.
So that's when you see those guys at the start line like, and it sounds pissed off, like it's down a cylinder.
Yeah.
And you hear just the tiniest, and the smoke coming out, it's like barely making it out the stack. And then it starts picking up, and they lean into the fuel more, and it gets blacker, and it starts shooting up. And then all of a sudden you get this big freaking like steam engine choo-choo train plume coming out.
Yeah.
And that's when you could tell they're starting to move a lot of air, and they got to stay on top of that charger the whole time they get out, because if they get under it at any point,
you're done. You're done.
You'll never get it lit again.
Yeah.
But that is really fun to watch. And it's really fun when you see a truck that's dialed in compared to, because let's be honest, pretty much everybody in the 3.6 class is running a Cummins. There are Duramaxes out there and stuff like that, but almost everybody's running a Cummins for sled pulling.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. Like, I'm a Ford guy. An inline six it's like one of the easiest things to build as far as like to make a sled pull truck.
Yeah.
And we're going to get into that in a little bit later anyways. Keep in mind, we all sat down real quick to have a meeting as far as like what this episode was going to be about. I completely trashed it, and we're going off the cuff right now.
True.
Legitimate.
This happens a lot.
We had videos up, ready to pull up, and now we're talking about
we can
sled
still
pulling.
look at them here.
Yeah, that'll be later on. But when you see the smoke come out of the stack, and not only is it going really, really high, but you can actually start seeing the actual swirl.
Yep.
Like the blades coming out. You can see the swirl. I don't care who you are. And I like emissions beget. Well, I don't give a shit about that. This is racing. This truck's going 300 feet.
Right.
But that is like the coolest thing to me.
Yeah.
You see this truck just putting out. And before sled pullers really started to, I would say, get scientific about stuff, and I'm not saying that people didn't in the past, but there's just, I feel like the racing industry in general, look at F1 cars, dragsters, and whatnot. They've been doing it for decades and decades and decades. Everybody knows you got to have data. Well, you start getting diesel guys, and most of them are just, for the longest time, were backwoods farm dudes.
It started with literally like farmers.
Yeah, I can pull this farther than you can.
Yeah, or like taking a turbo off a piece of equipment.
Yeah.
And putting it on your truck and seeing what it can do. Like that's kind of the grassroots, start of sled pulling.
But then you start getting, I think especially over the last like 5-6 years, it has been a lot more data driven. Like
100%.
They're starting to like, okay, now we need to just kind of chucking stuff at it and see what works. That period is
that's like 12 valve days. And, the early, but now you've got these electronic engines with all this tuning, and a lot of these engines they'll actually build them with lowered compression because they know that these turbos are creating this mass amount of air. That if it had that higher compression, it's just going to freaking blow the head or blow the block apart.
Overspeed the turbo somehow.
So,
and keep in mind, this is like a cement filled block. No coolant.
A lot of them are. Yeah. So there's no coolant. Again, they're meant to run 300 feet. Like that's it. Like that's the extent of it. So it's pretty incredible how it's, how it's progressed.
Yeah. But before they started actually measuring like shaft speed as in RPMs, basically what you had to go off of was the smoke coming out of the stack.
Yeah.
And you look at it like, okay,
which is a great tell. It's like, a fantastic tell.
How tall is that one? When did it turn real black? Okay, I stopped turning black twice. This one went up to it went that high. Okay, that means I can put more air into it. Well, that one went too high. Now I went white. Okay, I got to bring it back down a little bit. I'm out of fuel. But now obviously you can look at, turbo shaft speed. It's like, I got more turbo, less turbo, so on and so forth. But it really makes it's super interesting. And the hard part for me for sled pulling is I freaking love it. My wife hates it. hates it. Capital H.
Well, I mean, if you're not an enthusiast like us, what do you? Oh yeah, heck yeah. If you're not an enthusiast like us, for someone to watch something like this, they just don't get it because it's actually relatively climactic, kind of. If you don't know what's going on, because like for us diesel guys, we can look at it and be like, oh yeah, that's awesome. Look at it. Look at all, he's taking off. He's slipping his clutch right now, but now he's grabbing traction and here he goes. Look at the smoke clear up. He's making power. He's going to make it. He's going to make it. Whereas someone else looks at it and was like, that's it.
Right.
Like you're just
it couldn't
pulling
even go 300 feet.
Yeah. You're just pulling a trailer. Like what's so hard about that?
To me, it almost, and this is not to say that, sorry, I had to refill my barley juice. Not to say that everybody who watches sled pulls is a genius or anything like that, but I put it almost akin to people that don't like watching baseball. If you do not know what's going on with baseball, it is boring as shit. Watch the highlights and it might be interesting, but like for someone like me, every pitch, it's like a whole new scenario.
Right.
Everything going on. There's so much going on between the lines in baseball that I can sit there, especially if I'm there watching it, and I can be riveted the entire time.
Yeah.
And to anybody else, it'd be like the only exciting part's when the ball's hit, and there could be 3 hits the entire game, and I'm like eyes peeled the entire time. It's kind of like that for sled pulling. If you're not sure what you're looking at, and I get like being there to support your husband or something like that, or if you happen to like trucks too, but in general, yeah, it's freaking boring, especially because a truck makes a pull and then they got to fix the track and a truck makes another pull. So it's usually like 3, 4, 5 minutes around there between pulls.
Yeah.
And it could get really slow. It's like you're sitting like, oh. I mean, and the announcers can only do so much.
Right.
There's only so many times you can play Bad to the Bone.
Right, yeah.
There's like 9 songs they have a license to play.
Yeah.
So I totally get that. And that's honestly, being down to the pits though, like on the infield, I was not bored.
Yeah. I feel like we should announce the next one.
I'm waiting for someone to ask us to announce it. I feel
Dude, that would be so much fun to announce.
Or just be like a guest announcer. Like I want to announce my
I'd want to announce the whole thing. No, yeah. I'd want to do the whole thing. Like give us the whole deal,
Yeah.
Give us the list of
I'll
the
pay
names.
you $100.
Yeah, let us do it. That'd be kind of fun. No.
So as far as sled pulling stories goes and watching sled pulling, so you have a good story, and I'm going to tell a story after that. I don't think he actually listens to the podcast, even though he has a diesel truck. He's got better things to do because he's a tech guy, but he happens to drive a diesel because he likes side-by-sides.
Who?
His name's Louie.
Oh.
Yeah, he likes granola. He's a Duramax owner.
Oh.
Yeah. And dudes. Whatever.
Dudes.
But, so you watched some sled pulling this weekend.
Yeah, so
on TV.
Yeah, we have like streaming, and Mav TV had a couple sled pulls from a couple of years ago.
Yeah, unsponsored shout out. Thanks, Mav TV, for putting cool stuff on.
Right.
Well, before you mention that, because the thing that I actually enjoy probably the most with sled pulling is some of like the old tractors that pull. I don't know why. It just like see how the guy like pop a wheelie on his like tractor. He's like shifting. Like I don't know. Like it seems like he's got way more to do. Like he's like really working.
I think it's because you
can
can see him.
Well, yeah, but he's like just working that thing. Yeah. And also the one I really like is when they do like semi trucks.
Yes, you and I were talking about.
We were talking about that too. Yeah.
That gets me going. For some reason, I don't know. It gets me going.
That one for me, like if you were to say semi trucks, drag racing with a trailer, or sled pulling, drag racing with a trailer. Yeah,
the drag racing with a trailer is wild because they do it uphill too.
Yeah,
like
you just see him torqued out.
Dude, and some of those trucks sound, so freaking
it's
nasty.
like World War III,
dude.
Yeah,
and you're just in there in that cab, just working that thing. Like, oh man, like that. We even talked about it before, like when we had our little barbecue here. Like, I want a semi truck.
Yeah.
I want a cab over, like my buddy's Peterbilt that he has. Like, I want that truck. Like, and I would sled pull the shit out of that truck.
Okay, before we talk about semi trucks, and I get a semi.
Okay.
Corey.
Yes.
What did you watch this weekend on Mav TV?
It was just more sled pulls. It was a 3-6 class.
Okay.
But it's so crazy because like watching him like in person versus like on the TV, like I found myself cheering more like on the TV, like come on, you can get that little extra, foot or two. It's just wild, dude.
Yeah.
Like,
well, a lot of guys too can like start out really good and not make it, and you're like, what happened? Like, what? You started out so good.
Yeah, and some of them, they come in late and you're like,
yeah, wait a second.
yeah.
Yeah, it just keeps going.
The story I have with watching sled pulls is so this was probably 2011. I was living with my buddy Louie at the time, and he'd already graduated from school, but I was still going, and it was just me and him. I can't remember if it was one other person in the house or not, but I was working really odd hours, and at the time, it was didn't have a girlfriend, whatever, and like I still loved watching sled pulling though. Anytime sled pulling was on TV, and at that point, sled pulling is basically be on like ESPN2 or ESPN8, the Ocho.
I was going to bring that ESPN8, the Ocho.
The Ocho at like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
So I happened to come home from work and it was late as shit. And of course, being single, I can't remember if I either brought fast food and came home or I ate a can of chili. Either way. Yeah. And at the time, I was a heavy smoker. If you guys didn't know, cigarettes. I love them for all the wrong reasons. Everybody was like, "You sad you quit?" I'm like, "Yeah, I quit because I met my wife." But I love the way they smell. I love the way they taste. I love packing cigarettes. I love tearing open. I love lighting them. I love flicking them out when I'm done. Like the whole thing about smoking cigarettes, I freaking love. Okay. Yeah. The only thing I don't love nowadays is, have you seen how much cigarettes cost now?
Oh, dude, they're like $10 a pack or something. Like they're upwards of.
I could legitimately own if I still smoked and I decided to stop smoking at the rate I was.
Yeah.
I could take that money and roll it straight into like a brand new truck payment and be covered.
Yeah.
Because I was easily at minimum once I got really kind of rolled into it. I was minimum pack and a half. Maybe 2 packs a day. At my worst, I was easily 3 packs a day.
That's so weird because I don't really see you as a smoke. Yeah.
Loved it for all the wrong reasons. Okay, guys. For those of you wondering, don't do it. Don't start smoking. I get it. But like if you do, just make it, and you meet a girl and don't lose a good girl for cigarettes.
Yeah.
But trust me, the girl's gonna love you more than cigarettes will.
Just smoke a good cigar.
Yeah,
that always makes you look, distinguished.
Yeah. Anyways, so and I was a little buzzed. I had a couple of beers while I was sitting there watching the sled pulls, and it's on, and I'm like, damn, I'm starting to get like rowdy. And it's like about 2:30 in the morning. And the only way I can do this is like I had to like angle the TV towards the back door. And I had 1 foot in, 1 foot out, smoking a cigarette, like blowing it out the door so I could still watch the TV with a beer in my hand, like cheering on the freaking sled pullers. And Louis comes out and he's like, "Fuck you, dude! It's like 3:30 in the morning.
What are you doing?"
And I look at him like he's the one that's wrong. Like, what do you mean? What's wrong? Sled pulls, dude. Like, what's going on? Like, dude, sled pulls.
Stressful.
Yeah. And he's like, will you shut the fuck up? And I'm like, all right, sorry. My bad. And like, throw a cigarette out and like, turn the TV down. Like, yeah. Crack another beer. Yeah. And that's when I realized that maybe I like sled pulling a lot more than I thought I did.
Yeah.
And that's probably all I'm.
It's cool. It's cool. I'd like to. The one time I did sled pull, I know you guys heard this story 1,000 times, so I'm not even going to go over it. But the one time I did sled pull, I broke a truck. So, my career with sled pulling is very short.
Very, very, very,
very
expensive truck to start and failed miserably.
I'm not going to go through the whole story because I know you guys have heard it, but the funniest part of that whole entire story is I was talking so much shit in the lineup.
It was so good.
So much shit. I was just, guys like, "Oh, what do you got done to your truck?" I'm like, "Everything."
The answer is yes.
Like, well, just name something. It's been done.
Yeah. What don't I have done?
I mean, that's actually a more valid question. It's got a factory body on it. That's about it.
I'm trying to find it because I have the video.
Oh, yeah. It was. That was a good time, though. I enjoy it. I do enjoy it. I wish they would bring the... yeah. Wait for it.
Wait, is this yours? Hold on.
I only did one poll, so...
on, I gotta find it here. You're scrolling through my old videos.
I think part of like
No,
my
that's not
issue
it.
when I go in person, like I instantly go into like photographer mode. you
Yeah.
know?
Well, yeah, so Corey brought his camera, and he was down on the dirt in the pits taking some badass pictures.
Yeah.
We will post some of them, but they were really cool.
I'll put a couple on the screen.
Here we go.
Wait for it.
Oh, that's definitely not you. Here we go. Man, that's way too loud. Where the hell is it? I got to keep looking for it. I'm sorry, guys. I'm getting a lot of...
Well, my sled pull career was just like a mimosa. It happened quick and it ended faster.
I know I have the video saved. I just got to keep kind of scrolling through and finding it here. But I do want to turn the conversation a little bit, still about sled pulling, but Tyler,
What up?
if you were to build a sled pull truck, what would you go with? And let's go ahead and say like there's not unlimited budget, but you're not obviously like you're not spending like hundreds of millions or like tons and tons of money.
Well, I'd probably look at I would definitely be in the Cummins category.
Mm-hmm.
If I couldn't find a third gen 5.9, I'd be honestly probably looking at like a second gen. Honestly, and maybe P pump it, basically pretty similar to what TJ's running.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be the
P pump 24 valve.
Yeah, I think that would be the kind of the cheapest entry fee as far as a truck. I mean, regardless of what truck you go with, you're either going to spend more money on a truck, and then depending on the class 2 that you want to be in.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you can get into a second gen relatively cheap and have a good kind of good solid platform. You don't really have to worry about steering issues and that sort of thing. Like you're just going in a straight line. So as long as it just doesn't break completely off,
As long as it can go straight.
as long as it can just go straight. Like so I that's probably what I would look at as far as a starter rig for something like that, just because of the entry fee would be super cheap. Then you can kind of, you can play with it for a while with a VP, but I mean, we all know VP trucks have their issues, especially when you start heavy fueling them.
Mm-hmm.
But they typically only have the issues when you let off. So,
And that's also why a lot of times you see, especially with mechanical pump trucks, or even like hybrid mechanical pump trucks, you hear like when after they cycle, they finish, they go bum, 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 bum,
Yeah.
bum, 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 bum.
yeah.
And they'll just chop it.
Yeah, so I mean that's probably what I would, just because I know that a 12 valve Cummins, a P pump 12 valve Cummins is kind of a desirable truck, so you're going to spend more money on something like that with the same mileage versus a 24 valve VP truck. I think that would be a good platform to start with. Maybe find yourself a P pump that you could swap into it and kind of just slowly kind of make it into something.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't do a first gen because I those are to me are starting to get into like the classic truck sort of phase.
You
and
end
I
up
wouldn't-
paying too much for it.
and you end up, again, the entry fee is I wouldn't do a 6.5 or a 6.2. Those are just stupid.
Well, yeah,
as far as pulling
then
power.
you would definitely have to P pump that engine ASAP.
Yeah.
Like nothing against VE pump trucks, but like your max, we've talked about before, 400, maybe 440.
And then you're doing the same thing you would do on a 24 valve, but then you're again the entry fee. So that's probably what I would go to if I couldn't find maybe a higher mileage third gen, because obviously third gen gives you a little bit more opportunities as far as making more power with less money to a point as far as tuning and that sort of thing goes. So
Yeah.
I know you would probably go with a 6-liter Ford.
I would, but I found the video, so let me play this real quick here.
You can hear the breakage. Again, this is I should call this my mimosa run. Started out great, ended terribly.
Yeah.
That is the worst. That is the noise you do not want to hear when you're sled pulling.
Reliving glory days. I'm showing Tyler now.
It's going so good. Boom. Broke. And that's where I was so utterly disappointed. I did not want to show my face.
I think
those
it's safe
pits.
to say basically there were 3 people in that area at that sled pull event where their blood ran cold.
Dude.
You, me, and Dustin.
Yeah.
We're like, Dad's gonna kill us. Dad's
Well, I was
Cooper.
just like, shit, I talked so much crap to all those people behind me, and I just freaking broke this thing on my first run. Is what it is.
Yeah. We all know what I'm gonna pick, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But Corey, what would you pick?
I don't know. I feel like I don't have enough knowledge on him yet, so I would have to like do a lot more research and kind of figure it out. But just basic, I think I'd probably go third gen.
Third gen.
Yeah.
It's not a bad way to go.
Right.
I mean, especially if you find a manual third gen, like a NV 5600 truck or even an NV 4500 truck. One of those. I mean, AAM axle on the back. Good axle in the front. Transfer case probably blow up on you, but we don't care about that.
Yeah.
Common rail
Transmission.
injection.
Might
I mean,
hold. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, if you get NV in there, you're gonna be fine.
Right.
Either the 45 or 5600. But even then, like common rail, even with stock injectors, and I'm talking even as a high mileage truck, just to get out there and run, just tune the living piss out of them.
Yeah.
They're not going to be happy. You're not going to last very long. But I mean, I remember. What was it? Man, we had one of the dynos we had a long time ago. There was a Dustin Buckingham. He ran 505 horsepower on a third gen. It was still a non-CAN bus truck. So I think it was like so it was an 03 to 05. Stock injectors with like I want to say it was like a 363 or 366 SXE, 364 and a half. Just tune the living shit out of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, like random like fuel cut.
Yeah.
Like lift pump and everything on there.
Yeah.
But yeah, he made like 505 to the tire. And I'm not saying that's a horsepower recipe. I mean, this truck was literally like that was at the end of its power.
Right.
But I mean, if you're looking to sled pull,
it only needs to be happy at like that 2,300 and above RPM.
Yeah.
Like, as long as she's singing when you're up there.
Yeah.
Like,
so for me, it would be a 6-liter. I would 100% buy a 6-liter, and it's not because I'm a Ford fanboy or anything like that. I'm thinking more.
it's because you're a Ford fanboy.
Here's a little
Come
bit.
on.
and I fully acknowledge that. I mean, I would more likely get spanked almost all the time by the third gen.
Yeah.
In my class,
But you're going to
third gen
sound
guys.
pretty badass doing
I'm going
it.
to sound badass.
Yeah.
The 6.0s love high RPMs.
Yeah.
They love getting on top of the turbo because they do it pretty easy. And you got a really good drivetrain underneath you.
Yeah.
And 6.0s are fairly a dime a dozen. You're probably going
Fair
to lift
enough.
ahead anyways if you're sled pulling.
Yeah.
I already know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, if I was to start sled pulling today, I would buy a 6.0. I would put the biggest drop-in charger I could on it, and I would stud the living shit out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't really stud something harder than just stud. I don't know why I said that.
We're going to stud it so hard.
Yeah. I'm going to add another stud. And we're
We're
doing
going to drill some holes and we're going to add some more.
I would stud the living crap out of it, hood stack it, and just tune. I want the heaviest fucking tune you can put on there, and just let her eat.
Yeah.
Like I would be surprised. Like my goal would be like if I can break a drivetrain component before I break the engine.
Goal achieved.
That's how hard I want to go.
Yeah.
That's how hard I want to sled pull a 6.0. And the thing is, if I blow a 6.0, I'm just going to be constantly on the hunt for other 6.0 trucks.
Yeah.
They're always wrecked. And I don't even care if I find a leaf sprung 6.0. Like I would rather have a radius arm, but I don't even care if I find a leaf sprung 6.0. I'll find it. I'll just throw like F450 front leaf springs on it, stiffen the shit out of it.
Yeah.
And just run the living crap out of it and have a great time.
Yeah.
And the funniest part is, one of the funniest parts about the whole thing, I bet you the air conditioning would still work.
Probably. Yeah.
The only downside I found to the pool that we went to, it felt short.
It was.
I
They
wish
take
we
a
could
lot
have
of
seen,
time.
Yeah.
I mean, they really do.
So,
I would have loved to have seen multiple pools.
So here's the deal with most county fair shows, at least where we are at the Spokane County Fair, and there's a lot of other fairs that are like this. But when you have an event in the actual arena, there's a time frame.
Yeah.
It's 7 to 9 or like 6:30. Basically, there's a hard cutoff of when you have to be done.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean necessarily, because most sled pulls you go to, everybody gets 2 runs, and when it's done, it's done. You know,
Yeah.
if there's a lot of trucks, or they cut off, or they say like, hey, we're going to start early, we're going to go late, whatever. So when it's done, it's done. This one, they basically have enough time. Everybody gets 1 run, and that's not even like 1 practice run. You just get 1 run, and that's it.
Yeah.
So that is, you're definitely right. That was kind of one of the fun things about Moses Lake. They started a little bit later in the day, which kind of sucked. Towards the end, I don't even know what's going on this year. I tried finding it, I couldn't find it. I'll have to text DJ. But they usually would start a little bit earlier in the day, and there's no cap on trucks. They're like, if you want to come pull, come pull. Everybody gets 2, and we're gonna go until we're done.
Yeah.
Like, period. I don't care if we get 40 trucks and everybody wants to go twice. We will stay here. Where's my the Mean Girls from the scene from Mean Girls? I will keep you here until we find this out, as long as we have to. Sir, we can only hold them till 4:30. I will keep you here till 4:30.
Yeah.
But that's So if you go to a larger like a state fair, a lot of times they won't have that. Or if it's like an actual just sled pulling event.
Yeah.
Usually they'll say something more where it's like, they'll cap it at 40 trucks or early registration only or something like that. But yeah, I totally agree. The other downside is every time they pull, like we mentioned before, they got to reset the track, and you can definitely tell when the crews are like in sync, because there were multiple times. I'm sure you felt it too.
Oh, yeah.
I swore they were all going to hit each other because they have a steamroller and they have 2 guys like troweling or flat. I'm not even know what the word is, but they're flattening it.
Yeah.
And I swear there were times where I was like, they're about to hit. And they're just looking at each other, and they like just it was like a symphony.
Yeah.
And
they got it down.
They got it down pat. But yeah, so it was super fun to see sled pulls, man. I was really excited. I got to see one of my favorite. Don't get me wrong, I love Lenny, I love the Burtons. My favorite local legend is Tim O'Neill. I don't even know if he's legendary status, but he's legendary in my eyes.
Yeah.
If you ever watch anything from the Pacific Northwest, everything he has is red. His truck's called C in red. And I mean, as C, letter C, letter N, red. Tim O'Neill does not lift.
No.
If his truck's still moving, he's still in the throttle. I don't care if they're waving the red flag. He's like, fuck it, I'm going.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons I love Tim. Tim is also one of those guys where if we sell parts to him, it's no warranty Tim.
Yeah.
Tim gets a little bit of a discount, but Tim breaks parts.
Yeah.
And Tim doesn't get a warranty because Tim almost always breaks parts because they were being used the way they're not supposed to be used.
Exactly.
And he knows that, and we know that.
Yeah. Yep.
It's like, do you want to just buy 2 of them now?
Yeah.
I know you're going to fuck one of them up.
Right.
Not because they're dumb, not because they're going to install it wrong. Just
not because it's a bad part.
Yeah. You're going to find the limit, and then you're going to, okay, that's as far as that one goes. I'm going to back it down 0.01%.
Yeah.
That's how Tim works.
Yeah. Yep.
But Tim was out there. He had a pretty good run. He's one of those guys that's, as I've been watching him, he's gone up in classes and whatnot. But he took the plunge pretty hard. He went from just like a work stock class, and then I remember he's in like a 2.5 class, and he went straight into the 3.0 class. And I can't remember if he's in a 3.6 class now or not. No, because he's still dually. He's not on actual cutters.
Yeah.
So he's a 3.0 class.
Yeah.
But yeah, he runs a P-Pump 24 valve manual truck, has a hand throttle, runs dually wheels.
Truck.
It is a badass truck.
Yeah.
And he's used that same truck every time. And his pull truck it's a VP44 red 2nd gen cherry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Trailer cherry red.
Yep.
Everything's
red.
His suit's
red. His
hat's
shoes are red.
Yeah.
I think one time he even at Moses Lake he showed his underwear was even red.
No, I was going to mention that. So I asked him, and this is where I was like, Tim, you have everything red. He goes, everything's red. It's the best color. I was like, Tim, what color are your underwear? He's like, if I wore them, they'd be red.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's what he said. Yeah.
It's like, Tim, you dirty dog.
You dirty dog.
But yeah, if you ever see any Pacific Northwest pulling and you see a red dually 2nd gen, he's got a big, old skateboard brand Spitfire, not old skate, they're still current, but like the Spitfire, the little flame head, it's red. He's got one of those on the truck. But yeah, he's probably one of my favorite guys out here.
Yeah.
Lenny did really well. His trucks all did well. The other sled pulling thing that happened this weekend that's been like going through the internet was that
runaway.
That runaway, and it was Ontario, I think.
Duramax.
It was a Duramax. Yeah, I think you saw it too. I think I might have sent it in. Yeah. I can't remember. Yeah. So there was a.
It looked like an L5P too. Like it was a newer.
It was at least LML. At least.
At least L. Yeah.
At least. Yeah.
All the videos I seen was kind of far off, but
Yeah.
I thought it kind of looked like an L5P.
They may just put a different hood on it. They could. But I saw both runs, and the first run, it makes you think, like, why the hell would you hook again? Or if that's how the truck normally runs, like, you guys are literally playing with fire. Because the truck was on fire at the end.
That was crazy. That was crazy. I haven't seen a runaway in a long time.
I haven't either. So I did a little bit more research, and according to what I found is I think, and if I'm wrong here, comment, let me know, correct me, because again, this is fairly fresh. The video started getting, I think it got posted on Saturday or Sunday.
Yeah.
And today's Tuesday. So it's a black 4-door long bed Duramax County Fair. There's a whole bunch of different angles of it now. But the first run, he basically gets all the way, does a nice pull, and you can see the manifolds glowing red. And at the end of his pull, I mean, engine's basically shut down, and there's still fire coming out of the hood stack.
Yeah.
Everything's still glowing red, which is not uncommon. Ductile iron, glow red, okay.
Yeah.
But on the second pull, it's like he slows down, and like when it's supposed to stop, he's basically got I think he had triple CP4s on it, or triple fuel, or I want to say triple 10 mil pumps on there.
Mm-hmm.
One of the plungers basically stuck open. So even if he took his foot off the throttle, it's still feeding it fuel.
Yeah.
And there are things in place to prevent that from happening. There's a positive air shutoff. There's a metal slide that's spring loaded. So basically, you press a button, goes right in front of the turbo,
stops all the air,
snuffs it out. If I recall correctly, that can be actuated not only by the driver, but there is a fail-safe on the sled as well. So if they get disconnected, that automatically pulls it. And if I recall correctly, because I've only seen the inner workings of someone who actually rides in the sled a couple of times.
Yeah.
But I believe they can pull this fail safe as well, to where it shuts down the truck.
Yeah.
And when you see it start bucking and start running away, what I didn't realize the first time I watched it, but the tires are still going. The thing's just not idling there. So it starts bucking and traction and traction and traction, boom, 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 boom. And, you're just and you think for a second, oh my God, let out, man. The sled's not going anywhere. And then you realize, no, he's along for the ride.
Yeah, yeah. And it's a ride.
And from what I've heard, he was cognizant of what was happening before, when you're that in tune with your truck.
He knew something was up.
He knew something was up before it started bucking.
Yeah.
And from what I can tell, he purposely left the clutch, did not disengage the clutch to hopefully have the wheels grip and kill the engine.
Yeah.
To keep it from actually, because at that point, if you disconnect any drag on the engine, it's going to run until it blows up.
Right.
So I don't know if that's normal sled pull protocol, or if anybody would even I've never sled pulled, period. But obviously, if I was at that level, I don't even know if I would have the wherewithal to think about that.
Well, yeah.
I mean, cheers to him. I don't know if the motor was saved. I was a 3.6 class. Again, if anybody has any information or any pictures, I'd love to see them. And it's not because I like to revel in other people's misfortune.
Yeah.
It's just we're all diesel enthusiasts. We want to know right. What happened? I want to see the carnage. What happened, man? But yeah, that one was pretty wild. I thought it was. I watched it probably 15 times.
Yeah. I watched it a few times myself too, and it was that's pretty wild.
Yeah. I'm really interested to learn more on that one.
Yeah. The more you know.
The more you know. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to wrap this one up. The two things that we originally said we were going to talk about this one, didn't even touch. We're going to talk about them next episode.
Ooh.
But, ladies and gentlemen, it's about 5 p.m. Pacific time, which means we're about to sign off on this podcast, but we're about to go live on Instagram, which, if you're listening to this on a Tuesday, it doesn't make any sense. But just so you guys know, again, we go live just about every Wednesday, 5 p.m. Pacific time on our Instagram page. You can find us by searching America's Diesel Podcast. We appreciate all of you guys tuning in. We'll see you on the next one.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe and check us out at dieselpowerproducts.com.